Hello everybody, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're here today, actually this morning. It's a Saturday morning. It's about 7 o'clock. It's early August, so it's pretty warm still, obviously. We're in the desert. But what we want to talk to you about this morning is an area of the yard that we haven't done anything with. We've got several areas that we're still working on, a lot of plans for this fall. One of those plans this fall is actually to expand our apple harvest, or really to increase it is what we're looking for, to help with our apple butter production and some of these other things that we're producing from our apples. So one of the things with the apples that we grow here, we grow very warm weather apples. So a couple varieties in particular that we get from a local grower is an Anna and a Golden Dorset. There's also another one called the Tropic Sweet that he's the only one that's actually legally able to distribute it here, so we get that one from him as well, which is a very, very sweet early summer apple. So those three varieties we really want to focus on because they're a good blend in our apple butter. We're making apple sauces and things like that. And they grow really, really well. They're very easy to establish here in this desert climate. So what I wanted to talk to you about is this area behind me. So as you can see, it's morning and we're in the shade, which is good on an August morning. But we're in the shade. So this gets morning shade, full daytime sun, some afternoon sun, and then some late afternoon shade. These trees actually do very, very well in just the full blazing sun. We already have these trees in our main orchard. We're going to expand them here, and we're also going to expand them to the front of the house so we can really increase our apple production. So one of the things we're going to be talking about today is what do we do for site preparation. If you look behind me, you'll see this is just raw desert ground. It's just clay. It's completely dry clay. Even though we've gotten rain for most of the last week or two, it's completely dry and dusty. When it's wet, it's solid clay, so it just compacts very, very tightly. And as you dig down further, you wind up hitting caliche, which is this rock kind of, I don't know, petrified dirt, basically. So we haven't run into that in too many areas in our yard because we're in a really shallow wash, which is a huge benefit to us here on this property. But we do still run into it from time to time. But ultimately, if you come in a little bit closer and you come down onto the ground, you'll kind of see what we deal with here. This is a lot of rocks. It's just dirt, very, very dry, and it's extremely hard. I mean, I can't get my fingers in this. Even if I had a shovel here, you'd see me just hitting hard, just dirt pan. So what we do to prep this area, as you've seen some of our other videos, you've seen what we do with wood chips. We pile wood chips pretty high, especially around our trees, but anywhere where we're going to be establishing either a pasture, which we'll be working on this fall, or if we're going to be planting trees, we actually do some prep to establish that ground before we're here. So with this ground, obviously we can't dig in this. It's not very nutrient rich. It's got a lot of minerals in it. It's very mineral rich, but there's absolutely no biologic activity in here at all. So what we want to do is bring some of that biology in before we get started. We still have about a month to 2 months before we plant these trees. So what we do is we bring wood chips. We've got wood chips all over the yard. So we'll bring wood chips from another area of the yard that we're not utilizing the wood chips in. We're going to be bringing those in today and staging them in the areas where we're actually going to be digging and planting our trees. So within several months, the tree roots will grow out from there, but when they first establish, we'll be digging a big ring that's about 6 to 7 feet in diameter, and it's about 8 to 12 inches down. We fill that with wood chips and we irrigate that area. So what we're going to do today so that we can get those trees in is we're actually going to move wood chips in and we're going to start some irrigation. So we're going to cut here in just a minute, and what you'll see when I'm back is you're going to see where we have the wood chips established, which is where the trees will be. We'll talk a little bit about how we irrigate and how we get these sites prepped and ready to go. So in the next few minutes, we'll come back to you. we've got the wood chips in place. You'll see those here in just a minute. What we wanted to show you is we wanted to show you how we do our irrigation, so you can see the manifold that we use, at least that we use the majority of the time, and how it can split, so we can go do a couple different trees at the same time. So if you want to slide on in this way and focus in down here, so we have to use drip irrigation here on the farm. The reason being, we're on a shared well system, so we can't use flood irrigation. We'd have some unhappy neighbors, which we're not interested in. So what we do is drip irrigation. So what we'll use is we'll use a normal riser. You can see this 6-inch riser that we have here coming up from the PVC pipes that are down in the ground. We have the 6-inch riser come up, and then you have this manifold. It's a 6-port manifold. And what we've done is we're using these 2 manifolds here because we have the 2 apple trees that will be irrigating off of this 1 manifold. So once we have the manifold in, we run the lines down and then we rebury the lines. You'll see the 1/4-inch line here. The 1/4-inch line is just going to go right from the manifold down underneath the manifold cover here, or the irrigation box. And then what we'll do is we'll just bury this in the dirt. Pretty simple. If I can not bury it too shallow. And by the way, we are in the desert. These don't really need to be very deep. We do get freezing temperatures, but it's very rare and it's very short, only in the middle of the night. Haven't ever had an issue, and we don't irrigate much during the wintertime either. But essentially what I'll do is we'll bury this line. Once we get the line buried, if you come over here onto the wood chips, you'll see what we do here. So we water these down a little bit to keep the dust down. What we do on the end is we actually use a 4-gallon-per-hour emitter. So 4 gallons per hour, and usually on all of our trees we have anywhere from 3 to 4 of these 4-gallon-per-hour emitters. So, and we'll run these for several hours, about every other day in the middle of summer. But what we do for now is we just leave this down. We'll bury this line a little bit here in just a minute, but we'll leave this here and we'll actually run this with the rest of our irrigation. So that way this area is going to get anywhere from probably 8 to 12 gallons of water about every other day right now. So what this will do is this will soak into the wood chips. It'll create a habitat for bugs, and we'll be able to show you that here if we haven't already. But we've got already all kinds of bugs in here and grubs from where this was before. So ultimately this is it. This is how we prepare the ground for planting. So once we get to that planting part this fall, we'll do another video so you can see our actual planting process. But this is it here. Okay, so we wanted to take a moment and we wanted to show you the area that we actually just took our wood chips from. We had this prepped. We had some other ideas of what we wanted to do in this corner. We kind of changed our plans a little bit. What we're actually going to do is we're going to turn this corner of the yard into our livestock area. So what we really wanted to show you is we move the wood chips out, and as we're moving them out, you get a really good idea of what water and water alone will actually do to this hard pan ground that we have here in the desert. So Lori, if you want to slide in this way, we've left a little bit of wood chips here, so it actually preserved the soil life that's down here. And keep in mind, this dirt is a lot of what I showed you at the beginning of this video. Very, very hard dirt, almost like rock. In fact, when we were running our irrigation lines in here, I was actually using a hammer, a 10-pound hammer, and a chisel just to get down into the ground. It was ridiculous. So anyways, if you slide in here, I want to show you what's down here. So these are our wood chips. By the way, we get our wood chips from a big conglomerate that actually does our arborist service for the city. So they've come out and they've dropped a couple 40-yard dumpsters at a time. So we've got well over 100 yards of wood chips here on the farm already. So what we want to do is just kind of show you what wood chips and water will do here in our desert soil. So I'm just going to kind of pull this back. And again, we just left this here. So this is where we had water running. And if you can see, there's already bugs all over the place in there. So they were just really happy. We've moved most of those over where our trees are going to be. And actually, here's a grub. So these are good too. You got to feed them. Obviously, we don't want them feeding on our trees, but they'll feed on the wood chips. We always keep them well fed. We're actually going to put him over in the other wood chips because I want to keep him. And you can see just what the dirt turns into. I mean, I couldn't even move that other dirt, and I'm moving this with my hand. Here's another grub. So anyhow, oh, there's another one. So we got 3 grubs just hanging out in here. Oh, there's another one. So we got 4 of them in here just chilling in this ground. So we're going to move those 3 guys over into our new wood chip area. But we wanted to show you this just to give you an idea of what you can do with some wood chips, which are completely free, by the way. They drop those for free. What you can do with some free wood chips and a little bit of water here in our desert ground. So ultimately, this is it for today. So we just want to thank you for joining us. And from Dwayne and Lori, we're saying goodbye from the edge of nowhere.